Hello there and welcome. Today we got a stonker for you. It's a high level rated Forge Lines Forever special here. YouTube Games. What's I saying? Games with Brains here on YouTube channel. Top rated 1v1 ranked. Get your words out right if you're going to talk about a brain. Ranked ladder here. Game 2023 week 2. Rated 1709 average. So these are really high rated players. I checked on the preview. It was an incredible game. So good that I decided to quit near the end because I wanted to see who won real time with you guys. It was far from obvious. At one point, well, let's not spoil it. Vader versus Silent Noob on the Neuroxis map gen. And let's go ahead and jump in real quick. 3, 2, 1. Let's see how this one's going to go down. Of course. There we go. All right then, music away. Unpause and see what's going to go down. We'll interview. Oh my goodness. What's wrong with me today? I mean, I know I listened back to one of my casts and I was like, I got a couple of words wrong here and there, but I've used all my words up already. So here on the left side in blue, it's Silent Noob. I'm sure if anybody has ever played FAF or has ever watched more than about 5 FAF videos from any channel, you will have seen this guy, Silent Noob. Almost feel like calling him one of the OGs. I'm trying to think, was he around in my day? Well, if he was, he certainly wasn't one of the top rated guys, but difficult to say. He's Cyber and he's clocking in at 1735. He's starting first land as blue. Over on the east side, we've got UEF red here. It's Vader, and he is rated 1684. So the difference between these two guys, roughly 50 rating points in favor of Silent Noob. We'll have to see if that plays out to his advantage or not. This video, by the way, here I'm recording live Thursday, the 12th of January 2023. The game taking place within the last 24 hours and is easily the best game week 2 on a high-rated 1v1 bar none. Do you know why? Because I say so. It's the advantage. When you make your own video, you can say what you like, and if somebody says otherwise in the comment sections, you just block them. Of course, no, you don't, because that's a bit ridiculous. But of course, some people do. And of course, rushing the standard build here. Let's focus on the game a little bit serious now. Land capping off the 4MX. First Hydro. He's got 1 engineer on ground reclaim here. He's got 1 engineer up here on manual reclaim. The reason, of course, being because he's not visually identified this area yet, this engineer is going to be able to grab these clumps. Whereas had he already driven through, for example, with some sort of a scout, the engineer would only be able to reclaim individual trees at a time. And the difference, if you take a look there, the amount of energy this guy has reclaimed so far, already 750 energy, and when he's gotten rid of that clump, is now 900. Now 1050. So that gives you an idea. 150 energy, and it's taken him about 2 or 3 seconds each. And so that is basically paying as much as about 2 or 3 P-gens worth. First scouts out there from Vader going up the north side. They're not going to see anything, at least not initially. And Vader already with the scout on the yon end of the field. Silent Noob yet to complete his airfact. Looks like that's about to come on now. In fact, if we click on Silent Noob, and yeah, indeed he has stalled, and the sign of a player that knows what they're doing. Their ACU running out of base as soon as that stall takes place. Nothing to be gained by trying to use the build power when you ain't got nothing to build with. Gotta say, Vader's expansion looking a little more aggressive here. We've got scouts and, the lab up top. We've got engineers going up the north side. We've got engineers down the south. ACU down the middle. Silent Noob looking like he's thinking on doing the same thing. Just looks a little bit slower for whatever reason. We'll have to see if that makes any difference. Let's have a little look on the old mass totals. Well, yeah, Vader about 100 or so. I was going to say 100 ahead. It's actually 100 behind. Players swapping positions there. Let's take a look at the mass incomes there. That's the one I like. And there we see UB Vader is actually 2 ahead on the old income and looks like about to pick one up here. Nice little bit of micro, does pick off the NG, but then succumbs to the Mantis scum. Oh my goodness. Did I used to hate the Mantis when I was big time UF. I really hated them. You know, there was if I could picture one Tech 1 unit that I hated more than anything, it was the Mantis. And alright, maybe the Seraphim Arty. It depends if it was a water map or not. Nothing worse than playing a water map as UEF and some Seraphim dude drops a load of Arty off the coast and sweeps them in and just evaporates your naval facts that just took you ages to build early on. First bomber in with a single kill then from UB Vader gets picked off. Very little damage. There is a second bomber coming in as well as Silent Noob got one. We'll have to see. Does the second bomb make any damage? And the answer is, well, yeah, of course. Finding out on the last replay, just 2 bombing runs is able to pick off T1 mechs at this point. A whole host of NGs here that are undefended from UB Vader, potentially about to get picked off from this bomb from Silent Noob. Silent Noob there with a beautiful kill, managing to kill them all. Not just in and of himself a nice bonus, but this factory like 99% complete, leaving it absolutely ill-effective. UB Vader, meanwhile, down south side with his ACU. I like what he's got here with a scout and a solitary tank just with his ACU. That, of course, is going to provide him with a little bit of radar vision that he wouldn't otherwise get. You know, I can't tell you how many times that you'll be ahead somewhere and you'll think everything's going great and all of a sudden your ACU gets swarmed because you didn't have any intel. So really liking this here from our red UEF friend. Silent Noob looks like what looked like a very promising position for UB Vader is going to go completely down to about 6 Mantis, which is unfortunate when you think how much investment went into there. 2 factories basically, 4 NGs or so, and all of that succumbing to simply 6 Mantis and Tech 1 bomber. Now, UB Vader is going to grab a couple of mechs here, but I can't see them lasting more than 2 minutes. Of course, the mechs only need a few moments to pay for themselves. I wonder if you hover, they actually show you what the mechs have. Well, certainly not in global view. Let's try locally. No, it's just the engineers. Fair enough. All right, and here's what we're talking about. So we've got the first little attack here, ACU on ACU, and Silent Noob bringing in a bunch of T1 spam as well. UB Vader better pray that he's going to be able to get into the water here, because if not, the game is going to end here and now and be very short indeed. Silent Noob there with the swarm maneuver, the Shift G. Never was a thing in my time. I remember when it was new. Basically, players that don't use that command or map it in some other way are a huge disadvantage. If you've got a macro key, like one of the Corsair or Logitech keyboards where you get the macro keys, and I'm sure there's others with it as well, bind Shift G, for goodness sake, to that, because you're going to need it. Otherwise, you're at a huge disadvantage. UB Vader here with a transport, looks like half damaged. What looks like 2 NGs on board. He's certainly going to want to make use of that. UB Vader has, meanwhile, managed to secure the area up here, but he certainly looks like he's going to need a drop. I'm sure if he had an APM spare, he'd be bringing this transport ship over right now. Looks like Silent Noob has bullied UB Vader off into the scene. UB Vader hanging out here, probably not got the eco to perform any sort of upgrades. And starting to look like he's getting a little bit surrounded. Gotta say, here as we enter into minute 8, things not looking great for UB Vader. Silent Noob with at least 60% map domination. And, oh my goodness, did that Snoop just pick off an engineer? Well, there's a first time for everything. I have never seen a Tech 1 scout from UEF kill a cyber engineer. Someone will have to let us know, was the engineer already damaged or not? Some very nice plays here from Silent Noob, and again the solitary units just going off, picking off. However, UB Vader very cheeky on the drop here. A tank and a scout. Silent Noob, wise to the situation, picks the whole thing off with a solitary command on a Tech 1 bomber. Oh, feel sorry for UB Vader there. If only, man. UB Vader now bringing his ACU through, realizing he's going to need this and doing yet another counter-attack on the north side. The counter-attack on the north side. One thing we have to say, though, UB Vader very strong on air. If we take a look here, he's certainly got the air domination in numerous places, and he's using his Tech 1 bombers to start picking apart this spam down here from Silent Noob. And I can't see any reason why those bombers are not going to be successful. We've got a handful of T1, and once those bombers are finished carving up those land forces, this Tech 1 is going to be able to clear that up, I'm going to assume, without problems. Of course, T1 bombers are capable of friendly fire, but alas, that not going to be a problem down there. Numerical numbers for Silent Noob, tipping it in favor of UB Vader and his air supremacy there. And so now I do like this counter-attack up top by UB Vader, and again with the superior numbers, no doubt is going to be able to push Silent Noob back. However, Silent Noob knocking on the door of UB Vader's primary expansion slot. Of course, you could argue this is the primary slot here. This is, by the way, Neurox's map gen map. And so not something that we're going to see again. But again, it's an incredible map. I think the map gen has gotten better with time. If you'd have put this map into the original game up front, I don't think anybody would have looked at it and said, well, this looks like a piece of AI's generated it. I think you would not have told it apart from something like Canis. And in fact, with the waters, possibly even looks a little bit better than Canis, of course. Canis, one of the OG favourites ever. And for about the umpteenth counter attack here on the north side, switching hands numerous times, Silent Noob retaking the, what I guess you could call it, the secondary expansion slot for UB Vader. Of course, Silent Noob grabbed these slots very shortly after UB Vader had them a while ago. And UB Vader moving in what looks like an attack that's going to suffer a fate worse than death. And a few units up here. Unfortunately, lost opportunity from UB Vader. I think he could have made some headway with this. But I think this, especially with the angle on formation, is only going to go Silent Noob's way. That being said, UB Vader does get wise to the situation, presenting a much better front now, and is able going to get better trades with Silent Noob than would otherwise have been. Bit of jostling starting to take place now in the central estate. Looks like Silent Noob is really probing to take UB Vader's primary expansion off him. Now we'll have to see if that takes place. Of course, he took the secondary expansion off him before really UB Vader managed to set up shop. And so I don't think... you know, we're basically operating on a 3-ish versus a 2-ish kind of base. In addition to that, Silent Noob's ACU up front here, that's going to provide him with a bunch of superior firepower. UB Vader's ACU well out of position, although is trundling home. And as he trundles home, Silent Noob follows him round the back with a nice sweeping move. And again, that's going to clear out these undefended mechs here. And if you're rooting for UB Vader, things going from bad to worse quickly. And again, no idea who wins this one. Yeah, so look at this. Silent Noob completely surrounding him now. And UB Vader down to simply his primary and his initial. He's starting to push through with a little bit of a counter-attack, but I think Silent Noob's got far too many numbers here. I think this is just going to be a nice excuse for Silent Noob to get some free vet. I don't think there's any threat on his ACU here at all. Would there be threat on the ACU if he didn't have any T1 spam behind him? Yeah, it would get a bit dicey, granted, but there is. And so this right here is, yeah, we'll have to see on his ACU. And there you can see he's at full health. He's got 22 kills. He hasn't even got a rank of vet yet. And so, yeah, very nice. UB Vader now, once again, looking after some of these sporadic dotted around units with his air, Tech 1 air, which is a brilliant way to hit back when your enemy has got superior ground forces and you're hemmed in. So yeah, Silent Noob actually moving in on UB Vator's secondary expansion with his Tech 1 bombers, and I see no reason why he's not going to be able to pick him off this time. And indeed he does. He thinks, you kill 3 of mine, I'll kill 3 of yours. The problem was the 3 engineers at 3 minutes were worth a ton more than they were at minute 13. That said, UB Vator with a nice little drop here may be able to knock Silent Noob off this little hill. And there are 2, what I guess we call them hill-locked, landlocked mass points here. Silent Noob is on the case with the Tech 1 bomber, and I think that, together with a lack of micro, is only ever going to go one way. A bunch of engineers now on the front line for UB Vator, and this is absolutely critical because of the amount of mass that's getting dumped here. You can see the very sneaky engineer attack move reclaim orders, which is the perfect way to reclaim mass from as far away as possible. Silent Noob knocking down a T1 PD. I guess he's a little concerned they may get swarmed. We see UB Vator as well putting a T1 PD, aware that his opponent not yet with gun. And despite all the action and threats here on the front line, we see UB Vator continuing to probe, once again pushing out on the south side. Is he short of a piece of artillery here? Because does look like the autogun got a kill and UB Vator moving out the way, so I'm going to guess so. Both players now making good use of Tech 1 bombers, picking off each other where it hurts. And we'll have to see how is this battle going to unfold once UB Vator gets his ACU to the front line. Don't forget, this guy's been trundling around all the way from down here. He is finally here. I feel that UB Vator should continue to move his ACU, or at the very least get an upgrade on it at this point. And there he is, listening to me from times gone by. Starts moving in his ACU to in some action. Nice bit of scenery there in the background with these factories. I didn't realize they're actually smoking away. Did they do that anyway, or is that because it's damaged in some way? And it looks like no, they just pump out some smoke when they're busy. I don't always know if they did that. Perhaps somebody else can let us know on that as well, because I certainly don't have a clue. And here we go. Silent Noob is getting gun here. Minute 16. He's 10% done, and with no assists, that is going to take a little while. He does have engines in the area. He's got a ton of Mantis, as well as the all-important Medusas. Medusas, if you're upgrading on the front line like this, are key, because they're going to enable you to pick off the enemy's Medusas. If you're upgrading gun and the enemy brings in Medusas, well, it's only going to go one way, and very quickly. UB Vator with a massive run by here. I'm not sure if he's perhaps dumped a few too many units in there and maybe left himself a little short on the front line. You can see his 2 Tech 1 PDs have gone down. Maybe UB Vator saw the upgrade and thinks, right, well, time is now. You can't move your ACU and your army together unless you cancel upgrade. Nice little OC there. We see UB Vator Silent Noob did indeed get his rank of vet there on 26 kills. Real nice, decent run by here on the north side. Looks like everybody, at least for now, still on the T1 stage. These are big numbers, perhaps, a few too many. And UB Vator, again, this is a sign of a good player. They move units through and then they split them off. They don't continuously keep all the eggs in the one basket. And I don't believe it. UB Vator here actually looking like the counter-attack. Don't forget, he was squished in right into these starting positions. And it looks like now he's pushing Silent Noob off his primary. Silent Noob's secondary expansion about to go. And Silent Noob is going to be relegated to just his initial base. Silent Noob, however, with the guns, so I'll have to see if that's going to make it pay. Don't forget, as Silent Noob advances, he is going to have all the reclaim, and that reclaim is going to be a real nice float while he gets his economy re-established. Currently, Silent Noob bringing in what looks like 28 mass a tick. UB Vator with 37, but again, with the reclaim going Silent Noob's way, that doesn't really mean much. Taking a look on the totals, it's neck and neck, 36 and 37 apiece. 1,000 obviously. And UB Vator here doing the pincer on Silent Noob's primary. I'm not so sure that's going to get anywhere. Perhaps he is able... Okay, I'd take that back. Causing more damage than I would have suspected. And, oh my god, taking out the Hydro as well. Not managing Silent Noob there to get the T2 online in time. That's going to really hurt. See, there's Silent Noob down to 240 energy per tick versus... let's have a look. Versus 880 by Ubivator, so about a quarter. Now, Ubivator brings off his ACU at a key point, perhaps realizing, well, I can't really go up against Silent Noob with the gun, and throws away his primary expansion as well. Maybe he thinks, well, I took his primary expansion off him. There's no way I can go against an ACU with the numbers and gun and what looks like at least 2 or 3 Tech 2 units. I'd be safer leaving the battle for a lost cause, getting gun and then reappearing. And looks like, yeah, managing to get the gun done just under 40 seconds. And actually somehow... It looks like Ubivator not able to follow up his attack with the engineers in quite the way that I thought. And here we see the UEF gun together with that excessive amount of energy able to lay down the smackdown here on Silent Noob. Silent Noob recognizing the threat and bringing his T2 bots back. I think that's going to go down. Oh no, he micros it just in time before the T2 actually slaps down. And yeah, once again, the T2 rocket bot. Cybrum was one of the best units when that first came out in the original Forged Alliance expansion. I really, really liked it. Of course, Gatling bot from UEF's had a nice buff since then, but in the early days, not so. And for the first time, it seems, Silent Noob on the back foot with regards to this front line. ACU backing off, looking completely outnumbered and surrounded. Yeah, there's a bunch of blue here, but they're mainly just engineers. And do they even have the eco to put down these guns? Well, there's your answer. No, he's completely stalled on energy. Silent Noob looks like he's going all out to get this T2 P-Gen done. He did re-establish the carbon. At this point, I think building this T1 is a waste. You need to get this T2 as priority, and then perhaps after that, some T1 as a sort of an emergency backup so you don't lose everything. Jostling down at the south side, looks like 6 to 1.5 of the other, but Silent Noob, once again, with at least a couple of T2 units. Ubivator drops in some, well, I was going to say reinforcements, but they're not. They're just some T1 NGs. We'll have to see if he gives those a reclaim order. That seems to be what they're there for, and he don't give them the reclaim soon, it's all going to go wrong. Ubivator going for the Tech 1 point defense, but again, oh my goodness, how was he able to pick off the T2 without and still keep a couple of units alive? I will never know. And that Tech 1 point defense is going to be enough to repel those Mantis. Numerous Tech 1 bombers coming in now from Ubivator. He did manage to pick off the T2 P-Gen. Things starting to look a little shaky now. And you can see there he's primary in Silent Noob's power generation network. Silent Noob at the minute, plenty in the tank, but I'm not sure that's going to last. I think if Ubivator... Oh, no, maybe he does know. And again, we see him going after the P-Gens. If he went after that Hydro, Silent Noob would be in serious trouble once again. Yet more T1 bombers over the central estate. And it looks like things are starting to collapse a little bit now for Silent Noob. Ubivator able to push down in the south side with his expansion here. I think he was very, very lucky to win that engagement. I mean, some people say, no, it wasn't lucky, it was skill. But yeah, Silent Noob definitely had the stronger forces. It was perhaps a lack of oversight. Micro, perhaps he was busy trying to deal with his base. That caused those two Tech 2 rocket ships to go down. That enabled these T1 NGs to put down a T1 point defense that was able to mop up the remaining Mantis that would not have happened otherwise. Meanwhile, it's our first ACU on ACU, both with the gun. Both ACUs, very, very good health. Silent Noob there with over 100 kills. Ubivator on 48. So what is that? That's 3 levels of rank. UB Vader on his first. And again, the little run by with a handful of units there. This time on the north side going against Silent Noob. Again, this you're not going to get your beginner / medium level players doing this. This is, you know, your beginners basically move all land units round as a homogeneous clump. And if you ever find yourself against one of these guys, you know, you can run rings around them because they try and move everything, and you sort of see their armies back and forth in the middle trying to deal with everything that you do. It's kind of ironic when it happens, but you also feel bad for them because you realize you could play games with them all day long like this, but when they get from medium and start to get better, not only do they split units off, but they're able to effectively manage the units that they have split off and cause endless headaches. Again, these isolated mechs here, not worth defending in and of themselves, but of course vital when you combine them. Silent Noob coming forward, got his second rank of vet, and looks like he is going to grab a T2. Surely, how did those T2 units survive both on like min health? Does finally manage to pick one off. I'm surprised UB Vader not got some sort of overcharge capacity. He is primarying down the Tech 2. And Silent Noob now on the counter attack down here, leading the charge with T1 artist spam. And looks like he may get it due to an oversight there from UB Vader. Both guys losing concentration, and Micro on the south side trading mistakes down there, and with it, who controls it? UB Vader here on the top side. And I really like this again from Silent Noob. He hasn't won it, but he's run rings around him with this engineer to reclaim. Does look like potentially he's going to lose that. Probably not got intel on those 4 guys. No, he hasn't got a clue. Real nice push through now from UB Vader in the center. Does look like he's got the numbers, but with his commander out of position. Silent Noob there. This is a perfect position you want to be in. Commander slightly ahead of your baller units, managing to get the kills and absorbing any fire that can be replaced with rank and regen. And then should the excrement come into contact with the air conditioner, he can pull his ACU back through the ball. And UB Vader now realizing his mistake, coming back in, but he's got to bring his units in. Again, you don't want your units all the way back here. You do want them able to, you know, at least fire off the occasional shot, if nothing else. We see a whole bunch of T1 bombers out again from UB Vader, and they are able to clear up an awful lot on the periphery. Once again, tide appears to be turning against Silent Noob. Feels like a right good seesaw, this one. And you just kind of feel like, again, if both players had just a couple of APMs spare, either one of them could win this engage here. But alas, not to be. Are we seriously going to see a Tech 2 engineer win a battle with RT? And he does manage to get a reclaim order off on 1. This is an automatic reclaim. There's 2. There's 3. Move before. He almost got 4. And that, again, there was no manual clicking there. That was 1 NG versus 5 pieces of artillery, and basically killed 3.9. Really nice to see. And looks like UB Vader was the first one to recognize here what was going on. Is he going to get the shield? He comes in. And somehow, no. Shield survives with 10 hit points from 500. Just 2% health. Not sure where those rounds of artillery. Potentially they went after one of the land units. Either way, he didn't have enough units to make damage, but he certainly had enough to give Silent Noob a bit of a raid that was a cause for concern. Once again, units pushing through on the north side on the right. And again, really, really nice to see here. Just pulls a solitary unit back just to deal with whatever's going on here. Is he even aware that there are units there? And I don't know if he was aware of that one. He should now be aware of this one on radar, but I think he's missed it because you can see he's moving his pillar back in. Meanwhile, Central Estate... Silent Noob on about 2/3, UB Vader on about 3/4, UEF ACU, and this time not only is the health in favor of the UEF friend on the red here, he's also got the numbers. UB Vader is putting overcharges into the chassis of the UEF ACU, but I'm not sure he's got enough energy storage for that to make much of a difference. Overcharge there into a Tech 2 unit, that's certainly what you're going to want. And Silent Noob now going off to 4 ranks of vet. And UB Vader retreating there, perhaps a little overcautious. Maybe he's starting to realise that he's got a chance against his opponent. And bearing in mind he is the red guy here, our friend UB Vader, 50 rating points beneath. And maybe he's realising at first, well, I'll see how it goes. But now he looks like he might be winning. He's maybe going super careful. Sometimes that can cause like a change in the mindset that ultimately backfires. We'll have to see if that's the case here. A little run around, this time with a couple of Tech 2 units. But Silent Noob moving in with superior forces, preventing that run by to take place. Do see a manual move there. We'll have to see. Is he going to pick off the shield this time? There's your answer. Does manage to do it. I guess that was his objective. And with the shield down, I guess the unit will eventually go down to that arty. UB Vader now health down to just 25%. Silent Noob, however, pulling back, realizing, yeah, he's healthier, but he's got the numbers. Is this going to be the end? UB Vader there on very low health points. Silent Noob now going under about 1/3 health. Continues to pick off on these targets. Silent Noob completely surrounded here. And there it goes on the 30th minute. Brilliant game. Very well done. The GGs go out from both players. Really, really well played. I thought there UB Vader, and you know, I didn't see how this panned out before, but I really get the feeling now watching this live with you guys that the attacks on the energy features here about 10-15 minutes ago that completely caused Silent Noob to stall out for 2 or 3 minutes basically got UB Vader ahead, and he was able to press the advantage. I'm kind of surprised looking at this that Silent Noob was ever able to regain this, and we see there with a single mex, to me, 1 out of the 3 when your opponent's got 0, you know, is in your favor. The top side, for some reason, trading so much more action than the lower side. I'm not sure if that's some sort of human psyche thing, but, you know, the main of the chunk going down the middle there. Really was a nice surprise to see UB Vader win, not just because he was a lower rated, because how bad things were looking early on for him. Very well played, you guys. Until next time, that's going to be it from me. I hope everybody else is fine. Best game 2023 week 2. Until next time, take care. Good night.